to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
These are good problems to have, right? So much success that you have more than one place to be.
Fly-free, touchdown, Oregon.
Off a dribble, launches, and hits the three. Oregon leads.
What a great opportunity it is to be able to play at University of Oregon.
I'm just incredibly proud to be a part of something like this.
She wants another three. Oh, three in a row.
Oregon is headed to the Super Regional. Big Ten champions, your Oregon Ducks.
We are so privileged and so fortunate. We get to see all these young people. We get to see this incredible growth, which is what college is all about.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
The sun is out. The Ducks were at Autzen Stadium. The third spring football practice of the season occurred this morning, and it just felt right. Walked out there today at Autzen Stadium. Partly cloudy. You could feel the sun starting to poke through. Clouds suddenly separate. The end of spring football practice as the Ducks are working their drills. It was sunny. And we are exactly 26 days away from the Oregon football spring game. It's April 1st. It's officially April. The Oregon football spring game coming up on the 26th. A 1 o'clock start. 10:30 a.m. is when all the activities begin around Autzen Stadium honoring the military. A lot of alumni will be in town. I imagine a big recruiting weekend. And, of course, a big development day for Oregon football community celebration. On today's show, we'll talk with Dan Lanning. He sat down with the media in the Hatfield-Dowling Complex, third floor media center today. We have that for you coming up. Also, Duck Athletic Director Rob Mullens. He actually had something come up, and so we talked with him about an hour ago. We have that for you on the show today. Bryce Beter, Pancho Lalulu, Iapani Pancho Lalulu met with the media today as well. And I also sat down with Oregon Acrobatics tumbling head coach Taylor Susnara this morning. We have all that for you on the show today and over the next few days, as spring really does feel like it's here. Before we hear from Dan Lanning, though, an announcement on the Oregon football coaching staff. The Ducks announced the hiring of Anthony Kinsey on Tuesday as the new associate head strength and conditioning coach for the UO football program. Kinsey joins the Ducks after spending the 2024 season as the director of football sports performance at UCF, bringing with him more than a decade of experience at the FBS level. Dan Lanning said, quote, "We are thrilled to welcome Anthony and his son Amon to our Oregon family. Coach Kinsey shows how to get the very best out of his student athletes and set them up for success both on the field and off the field. He brings great experience and enthusiasm to our program, and his diverse background as a former player and coach will be a great asset for us here at Oregon. We're excited to hit the ground running with him this spring." He was a 2012 graduate of Arkansas State. Kinsey got his career started as a strength and conditioning graduate assistant at Auburn, worked in that role until December of 14, earned his master's in education, and continued to work with Auburn in various roles until December of 2020. Now joining Oregon after a great career as both a coach and a player. Welcome, Anthony Kinsey, to the strength and conditioning staff here at Oregon. Third spring practice. Ducks have done this now the last few years under Coach Lanning, where they've practiced a couple times. They get 15 practices in the spring. They've practiced a couple times. Then spring break. Finals week, the Ducks finished the winter academic term. Spring term began yesterday at the University of Oregon. And Dan Lanning and his Ducks back practicing. The second day of classes, the third spring practice for Oregon football, and they were in full pads at Autzen Stadium. Dan Lanning talking with the media today. It's brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Better cancer care close to home. Coach Lanning.
Yeah, good day today coming back from spring break. I think this is one of those practices you always want to figure out where guys are at over the break. And we took some good steps forward, but there's a lot of room for us to improve as a team right now. We got a lot of talent, not a lot of experience, so we've talked about that. But I'm excited about the direction of our guys. They want to get better, they want to improve, but that's what these practices are for.
Leadership is not something that's new to Bryce, but how have you kind of seen him step up as maybe the elder statesman of that defense now?
Well, you just said it's just not really new to him, right? I still want to hear his voice out there at practice even more and more. It's always shown up as a player, right? But that's not something that's new to Bryce. So I have high expectations for what he looks like on the field, and continue to challenge him to keep pushing. But he's been a really good player for us and a really good leader for us.
James, what's your outlook at the nickel position this spring now that Jaden's here, and how you'll handle Dalen with the uncertain future there?
Yeah, we got a lot of guys competing out there. We had one practice today, so that's the great thing about spring practice is you use all of spring. We'll use all of fall camp. We'll continue to compete.
Eric, kind of mentioned leadership there. Are there some of the younger players that maybe we haven't seen play a lot that are stepping into those roles? I wonder if you can kind of just express what you've seen from that group.
Yeah, when you ask me these questions, I don't ever really hop into who's doing what, right? We want everybody on our team that's capable of being a leader to be a leader, right? I don't care how old you are, right? I don't care how many snaps you played, right? Where can you contribute? Where can you lead? It starts by leading yourself, right? You want to be a guy that can set an example for yourself. What's it look like? And then the players recognize that. It's not a secret, right? Who works hard, who doesn't, who attacks every single day. We got a lot of guys on our team that are really capable of that. We got more guys that we need to have continue to step up.
In the back, Brett.
Coach, obviously you guys lose some talent at the tight end position with Terrence and with Patrick. I'm just wondering, how are you seeing kind of Kenyon step into that role, and maybe even some of the younger guys like AJ that missed all of last season? How is he kind of showing early up in the spring camp?
Yeah, we got a lot of good, talented players at that position. Obviously, Kenyon has the most experience there. He's shown an ability to make great plays. I think he's going to be a great playmaker again for us this year. And just even watching the way he took the field today, you realize, okay, this guy has a purpose, right? He's coming out there for a reason. But there's a lot of guys that we're looking to create, opportunities for those spots, and that's what you want. As many good guys that can go play at a high level.
All right, here's Zach.
I don't think we've talked to you about Isaiah World at all. What was it about him that you saw in the transfer portal that you liked, and kind of how's he adapted to the team so far?
Yeah, great athleticism and size. It's just the God doesn't make very many people like that, right? And he's got a great spirit every single day. He has the right mindset and the right attitude. He's a guy that played basketball, in high school, and then kind of is grown into a football player. And with that size and strength, it's something we really want to take advantage of.
Back left, Matt.
How do you approach scrimmages this spring, competitive, evaluating where guys are at for multiple position battles?
Yeah, similar to what we've done in the past. We'll have scrimmages the next 2 Saturdays, not this Saturday, but the next 2 Saturdays, and then our spring game, and I think those are the best settings that you can evaluate where players are at. The negative of a scrimmage, we do a lot of 2-spot work, right? So that's going to limit the amount of guys you can have on the field at the same time when you do a scrimmage. So great benefit from the live reps, the work on the field, really, really good for us to be able to take advantage of. We have to build up, our ability to go compete in a scrimmage, right, at this point. And just coming off a break, that's not really this week, right? So we're in that build phase as we go through spring, and then we'll have 3 opportunities to really evaluate these guys in live reps.
Front left, James. What does the corner room, how different does the corner room look this year with a different group of experience and younger guys, particularly bring back a Dakota or Iffy off of injuries? And is Rod Pleasant going to be part of it in the spring, or is he also focusing on track again?
Yeah, Rod available where he is. When we can get him, we'll be able to use him. Won't necessarily be an everyday thing because he is doing track. But, I just think we have length in that room, right? And we had some really good players that played for us here in the past, but we're just a much bigger group. But obviously lack some experience there. So it's about getting those guys caught up. That's your job as a coach, right? Get them in position that they can go make plays and execute at a high level.
Eric?
What's it been like seeing, I guess, Bryce have a little bit more, this is the one sport he's focused on and dialed on? What can you see in terms of progress this spring from maybe past springs where it hasn't been the case?
Yeah, just probably biggest difference is just his body, right? He's always been a guy that's wanted to have a little bit more size at the linebacker position. And when you're playing baseball and running bases and running around in center field, sometimes that's a little bit harder. The weight lift regiment is a little bit different. So just the ability to get those extra reps and put the weight on that's necessary for him to play at a high level.
Back middle, Brett.
Just curious, what's the most kind of challenging part about spring practices for you as a coach, and kind of how do you embrace that challenge with maybe getting some of these newer guys up to speed?
Yeah, I don't every day. What's great about football is every single day is a different challenge, right? And you don't know what it's going to be when you get out of bed, right? When you come up here, what we can do to control it is our organization, right? The way we teach, right? For us, every single day those guys step into the classroom or step into our meeting room, it should feel like they're going to a class session, right? There's a lesson plan, right? There's objectives for the day, right? And then how you grade that is, do we execute that on the field in that practice? And if we don't, then how can we teach it better and how can we execute it better? So every day is different. Every day has different goals, different themes, right? Today we focused a lot more on red area, being a little bit tighter to the line, to the goal line. and attacking that. Now we have to go watch the film and see how we executed it. And where we were great, then we need to keep building on. And where we weren't, we have to attack.
All right, Zach.
You guys weren't able to get Jamari Johnson out of high school, but you were after him as a target. And what was his recruitment like, kind of in the transfer portal, and what's it been like finally getting to work with him?
Yeah, great kid, great family. Really, really excited about him. I think he, performed really well in his reps at Louisville this year. It showed up on film. What he was able to do. Obviously had an injury that he's coming off of, and we're really excited about the future there. But that was a tight recruitment down the stretch. One that we never burned bridges on the way out. He made a decision that was best for him. As it went down the stretch, and ultimately I think realized this is the place that he wanted to be when it's all said and done.
Second row left, Eric.
A couple weeks ago, Will was commenting that Poncho had really stepped into a leadership role. I guess, A, do you agree? And then if so, can you explain maybe where you're seeing that with this team and the importance of that leadership from your center?
Yeah, Poncho's been fantastic when it comes to that, right? And I think, O-line for us is always, I think Coach Terry does a great job, and really just the culture of the team here, they've always done a good job of being leaders. And Poncho stepped it up. I think he's realized his voice can be heard more, right? His play is one thing, but his ability to move other people and impact other people is something I've seen him step up. And that comes from communication, that comes from the details, knowing what your job is. It comes from the way you train in the offseason, what you eat, right? Making sure your body's in position to be successful. So Poncho's doing a lot of those things for us right now.
All right, Zach.
A couple weeks ago, you got to spend time with Bo and Justin and Dylan all together at the pro day. Is that one of those moments where you kind of look at it and you're like, oh, this is a really special time being able to be with those players and those men in particular?
Yeah, you hope that we get to continue to create, special moments like that. Like I said before, I always say proof's in the pudding, right? And you look around here, if you're a great quarterback, right, and you come to the University of Oregon, you got a chance to have a lot of success, right? A chance to go perform in pro days, get drafted high, go have the opportunity to play in the NFL. And you talk about three great guys that did an unbelievable job for their team here at Oregon and are getting opportunities now at the next level.
James?
Just wanted to confirm that Finney, Hill, and Kennedy are here, and that Theron's a post-spring addition.
Theron's here as well.
Eric?
I'll follow up on Zach's question. What benefit did some of the younger quarterbacks on this team have from potentially meeting with a Justin or a Bo? I know some of them have crossover, but just those relationships, how beneficial can they be for young quarterbacks?
Well, I think more than anything is watching how those guys work, right? Whether it's Dylan, Bo, obviously the success that Justin's had, but the details that those guys go in and day out, the professionalism that the position requires, the confidence that they have, all those things pay off and they come with time. But being able to see the way Bo Nix takes notes every single day in a meeting benefited, some of our younger quarterbacks on our team. Being able to see the way Dylan competed on the field or his ability to keep a great temperament in the middle of the game, I think all those things benefited those guys.
Back middle, Brett.
Just curious, what sort of an impact do you feel like Dylan this past season had on Dante and in his obviously journey in trying to become a starting quarterback for this team this coming season?
I think, for all of our quarterbacks, Austin, Dante, every guy in that room, Brock, Luke, I think being able to watch the way, again, like I just said, what a professional looks like, how they operate day in and day out, when they realize there's an issue, how do you attack it, right? One of Dylan's best traits is, hey, something's not going right. I need to go pop in with Coach Lanning or Coach Stein and say, hey, how can we get this right, right? Being proactive, not reactive. And, Dylan did a great job of that. So I think all of our quarterbacks in that room, Austin, Dante, Luke, every one of them. And then obviously some of these young guys, that standard gets established. That becomes the Oregon standard. That's the way we do it in that room, right? And it's going to carry over the young guys that just joined our team.
Last question, Matt.
Cross-training positions, how do you go about deciding who's ready for maybe an expanded role of what they did previously, or can they play this other position and help you there?
Yeah, it's always a tough dynamic. We chart it throughout the spring, where guys are working at multiple spots. We want to try to challenge guys to be able to do as much as they can for the team, right? And you kind of figure that out as it goes. Like, can this guy handle a little bit more, right? Maybe when you're working somebody at a different position, you work a few different calls that are a little simpler for them as well. But, we become the best version of ourselves when we can have our best 11 on the field, right? And that sometimes means guys working at multiple spots, and that gives us that chance.
Oregon football head coach Dan Lanning meeting with the media after practice today. The third spring football practice for the Ducks. The fourth coming up on Thursday. More interviews on the way from Duck football. Spring game, April 26th. 26 days away, the Oregon football spring game. When we return, Rob Mullens, Oregon athletic director, sitting down with the head man here in the Casanova Center. We're in the Country Financial Studio, and we're back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, so what's a great way to spread awareness that driving high is illegal everywhere? A catchy song, of course.
You can run, but you can't drive high. You can run, but you can't drive high.
Friendly reminder, don't drive high. If you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
when the storm rolls in, my time to find a pet-friendly evacuation center will have run out.
The scorching heat wave will leave me powerless to cool my insulin.
I'll face a hurricane without meds. Now that's a tough pill to swallow.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and come on now, so good to see you real.
It's Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Heard from Coach Lanning as spring practice resumes, and now just a little while ago, we sat down here in the Country Financial Studio with Rob Mullens, Oregon Athletic Director. A lot to cover with basketball season coming to a close and now spring sports in full swing. The Duck AD, Rob Mullens, here with us earlier today. I got to say, I always appreciate when the athletic director can just walk in, press play, and we're talking about baseball. We're talking about different players for Oregon and for Portland that are going to match up on a Wednesday. And that's when you know that you must love your job, because you walk into a work interview and commitment, and yet you're just talking baseball. That's got to be fun. Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullens
It's
here
a lot
today.
of fun. Yeah, I visited with some students at an East Coast institution this morning, and we were just talking about careers. And yeah, this is a fantastic career. I mean, you have competition, you have strategy, tons of relationships, lots of passion.
If I told like 15-year-old Rob Mullens that this is what he would be doing, what would he say?
I think he would have been thrilled to be working in and around sports.
Yeah.
15-year-old Rob Mullens probably didn't realize how big of an operation college athletics was.
Yeah.
So at 15 probably thought you were either a coach or a trainer.
Yeah. Okay.
Probably didn't understand that an organization like this is what we have, $162 million budget, 260 full-time employees, 500 student athletes, economic impact, that's significant. So probably wouldn't have understood the scale of it, but just the notion of being able to work in and around sports would have been thrilled.
Well, I don't know how many fans realize this, and we've talked about since I've been hosting this show, we've talked about your career path, but now it's on my mind because you said you were talking careers earlier, so I'm going to ask you this. Like, you always are so generous with your time, and I know you talk to a lot of classes at the U of O and beyond. I mean, has that conversation changed a ton, or are you still just like, no, this is really fun, everybody?
Well, yes, it is really fun, but the conversation has changed because, obviously, these are students who aspire to work in sports, some in college athletics. So the questions are largely around current topics.
Right.
House settlement, NIL, portal, and so inevitably you get asked the question of, did you see this coming 10 years ago, 15 years ago?
Right.
And then, what do you think, what's it going to be 5 years from now? So the conversation has shifted a little.
The same conversation points that we ask on this program, and we've been consistent in, well, we're going to find out. Right, that's kind of the way we are.
No, it is, and then obviously when you're visiting with students, you get a lot of how do I get started? I really love this. How do I get started? How do I create a competitive resume?
What do you tell them?
So I do think one of the, getting to see it, entry level in college athletics is a extremely hard job. It's it's always a deep competitive pool with a wide range of backgrounds and interests. So. My encouragement is always, try to get some relevant work experience and build a network. Have somebody in the area that you have interest who can speak to your work ethic, your values, et cetera.
Well, I think that's great advice. When we are in, everyone who's listened to our broadcast knows that our just absolute tremendous pool of interns, we would not be able to do what we're doing without that internship base. And a lot of them hope to do what Scott and I are doing today. I mean, that's the mission.
Right, no doubt. And we have that throughout the department. I mean, you can pick any unit in the roles that the students or the interns or the graduate assistants are playing is very meaningful, and that's the hope, right? Is that we give them an experience and a skill set to launch into something that they're passionate about. While we're on the subject, if I may take a minute, the way that the Big Ten Plus engages the students is really meaningful work. I mean, and that's your guys' area of expertise. You know that far better than I do. But I will say, a shout out to the University of Oregon students in the work that they do, because, I have a son that competes at a Big Ten institution. I watch a lot of Big Ten events that our teams participate in. I would say our team of students that run Big Ten Plus are as good as any in the country.
I'm with you. We have said it, not to toot our own horn too much, but because we
toot.
Yeah, because we're on the subject, if I could. I mean, from top to bottom, I've always said I am a product of the University of Oregon. I make no secret about that. And KWVA, what the work of the student radio station has done, top to bottom, the Quack Video crew. And now I'll tell you, the Big Plus is a great, great partnership. And take it a step further, a lot of what the Big Plus has been and was doing, we were already doing.
Amen.
And that's what I think myself, Scott Labonte, Alex Stimpson, Brandon Reichelt, Ray Paio, we have all been so proud of that, because we just got to hit the ground running and pick up right where we left off. And I'm so glad you said that, because I echo that. The students that I work with in the School of Journalism and Communication, and many of them are the same here in the athletic department with our internship base, it is so rewarding at an institution of higher learning to see that pay off.
No doubt, because we get all the time, right? Where is the collaboration between athletics and academics? This is a perfect example of an incredible collaboration. We get the feedback from the Big Ten Network staff, too, about how great we're set up. And so kudos to you and all the advisors that are helping these young people get real experience. And let me tell you, when you're watching these broadcasts, it matters to fans and to parents that the score bug is accurate.
That's right.
Whether it's pitch count or
or the lower third is the correct name, because it's the debut of somebody that is a once-in-a-lifetime experience for that family.
No doubt. And, and what a great real-life work experience, resume piece, demo tape for students.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. On that point, maybe if you are so interested, I'll send you my list of all of our graduating seniors and their demo reels. And I know you consume a lot of broadcasts.
I do.
I've always loved this. So, one day, Rob and I are in the hallway, and he just mentions he was listening to American Legion baseball down in Southern Oregon, and a colleague of ours was calling the game. And I know that you keep track of a lot of that, and I appreciate it. So thank you.
No, and I know the amount of it's probably hard being a student and put in the prep and the time, and then to have the advisors to give the feedback so that people can learn from it and grow from it. Look at the number of people that KWVA has say I started here. Is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. Now I will tell everybody, and I've gotten a lot of questions about this. I don't know if you have too, but remember that in the previous version of our streaming, we could take the Oregon Sports Network call. Yes, I am a biased broadcaster. I will never pretend to be anything otherwise. And so people have asked me, hey, if they're Oregon students, they should be fired up more about the Ducks. Well, I just want everyone to know, and a reminder, we've talked about this on the show before, The charge is to do the neutral TV call, right? That's what the Big Plus is all about, is we're training them on how to be the neutral, unbiased observer akin to ESPN, Fox, NBC, CBS. So it is a little different. So it's okay if an Oregon student gets excited when a Michigan player makes a nice play this weekend. Did I handle that? Was that good?
You did.
Okay.
Just give them some grace. But I'm sure if you listen
That's
close
right.
enough, their true green and yellow will seep through.
It does. It sure does. And I will tell everyone a little bit more behind the scenes on that while we're on the subject. Now, one thing this has done is enabled KWVA to, instead of doing the sort of neutral call all the time, KWVA is also doing a broadcast for many sports that's exactly like what we're doing on the Oregon Sports Network. So when you hear from people like Austin Oda, Saul Galvan, who are our interns for the Oregon Sports Network, Saul's also the voice of the Oregon softball team right now, it's enabled Saul to do the, shall we say, more Go Ducks-oriented call, which a Coach Lombardi sure enjoys. So
no doubt.
Anyway, a peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, we're becoming the Syracuse of the West.
Well, that was – you said it. I just want everyone to know that I was not the one that said it this time. But I have said, Rob, I've said it forever, that if you want to do this kind of operation for a living, if you want to work in broadcast and understand the differences of TV, radio, and in-house versus external media, we're it. Here's your recruiting pitch for anyone who wants to come to the University of Oregon and do this, and an athletic director who cares about it. So
no doubt, and I will reiterate, this is as strong an academic athletic collaboration as you can get for people that want to do this for a living.
I'm with you. Now, March Madness, it does officially come to an end at some point, and unfortunately it did for the Ducks. However, one of the last 32 teams playing in both men's and women's basketball, Rob. I mean, you talked about broad-based excellence. You've talked about this a lot. That is broad-based excellence.
It really is. And, obviously when you're getting to that level, it's one or two possessions.
Oh.
And that's exactly what we experienced.
A couple free throws, Rob.
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah, I mean, obviously, you want that. You want to get to that second weekend and have that opportunity, particularly for, these two teams that have fought so hard. But, again, another good season. And something to build on.
Duck Athletic Director Rob Mullens joining us in the Country Financial studio. A little peek behind the curtain of the broadcast, too. There's so much overlap and integration with what the Big Ten Network, all of our TV partners, and the Big Plus, and now the Big Plus group in general, Quack Video with Alex Stimson and what he's done crewing and working with these students. And then, of course, here on the Oregon Sports Network, we make no secret who we are rooting for, and it's been fun to see the students at the University of Oregon and the growth as both neutral TV broadcasters, and now they get that repetition and that benefited in the broadcast ranks. That's really important. I've talked with a couple of my TV colleagues about that, and they've said, hey, that was the hardest thing for me when I was a student. I couldn't get a lot of TV. I could get radio, couldn't get a lot of TV. Now they're doing that, and it's enabled KWVA to be a little more of the hometown call, if you pick up my meaning. If you listen to some of the highlights from KWVA and Saul Galvan, he is going bananas, just like myself and Ryan Milano did once upon a time, and now we're calling the Oregon baseball games. It's been really fun for me just now as an instructor in the School of Journalism and Communication, and now here, of course, working in the athletic department, just seeing this collaboration. And let me just say, we're not done yet. There's still a lot more that we can do, and I will be taking that clip that Rob said, the Syracuse of the West, and we will be sending that to many a people. I'm sure it will make the rounds in the broadcast realm. When we return, part 2 of our chat with the Duck AD here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial.
Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Comes to a gun suicide attempt, all it takes is a moment.
Heather and I had an argument just like any other couple. I was lost. I had snapped. I had a gun, and I was going to take my own life. Heather helped me realize that there was still a life to live for the better of myself, my family. My weapon is now safely put away.
A moment of crisis can happen to anyone. Store your guns, locked, unloaded, and away from ammo. Hear more safe stories at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
I want you to know. I said I want you to know right now. You've been good to me, baby.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. I'm Joey Mack here with you in the Country Financial Studio. Continuing our chat with Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullens. A lot of spring sports ramping up, reviewing the winter, and now focusing in on what figures to be a big weekend around the University of Oregon, particularly on the Diamonds. Duck AD Rob Mullens with us today. What I'm amazed at, and we talked, kind of the theme of the show last week was how fast the page does turn.
Oh, man.
As well. I mean, again, everyone, like, just a little bit of a history lesson. Like, the roster that the men's basketball team, for example, had, a lot of those transfers came in April of a year ago.
Yes.
So that's how fast it turns around.
It does, and it's tough for coaches, right? Because they go from the intensity in a long season to immediately retention and portal recruitment. And now, we're anticipating that the April 7th settlement will be approved of the House case, and then July 1 we'll have this whole rev share new piece implemented as well. So it's a lot of change.
Boy, that's a big subject. I don't know if I'm even ready to.
We don't have a week to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's front of mind for a lot of people, but I even have thought about when, for you and I in this conversation, we do it about monthly. I kind of figured let's get through the spring game because there's a lot still to be figured out.
There is a lot to be figured out. We'll see April 7th. We're going to have hopefully a lot more direction, or at least a sense of the direction.
Yeah. Now for women's basketball, back to that for a moment. Coach Graves came on the show last week. We talked with him about, hey, just getting the program back to where it wanted to be and where it needed to be. And boy, they did that this year.
They did. It's great to be back in the tournament, to win a game, and we need to continue on that trajectory.
Jenny Leander. I'm on this point now. Okay, so she was recently on the show, had a great conversation with Jenny.
She does a great job.
She is running the Jaquia Center operation, so all about advising on the academic side. So I guess to come back to that point, if we could for a moment, just
former broadcaster too, right?
That's right. So I said that, like she was, before Bev Smith was the full-time analyst for us on the Oregon Sports Network. Jenny would come down from Portland when she was working at the U of O in Portland. She would come down and do the games. Jenny, I know that you said this on the air, but I'll just reiterate. She even said, she's like, I did it because I got the best seat in the house to watch Sabrina and Ruthie and that whole team play. Which
good timing.
Believe me, I get it, right? That's why I have so much fun doing what I'm doing. But Rob, I mean, nearly 100 student athletes are on the dean's list this last term. That's a valuable piece.
Very, very valuable. Obviously, that's the priority, right? It's why most people come to the University of Oregon is to get that meaningful degree. And the work that Jenny and her staff and the Jaquia Center do in helping these young people transition to college, stay organized, get enrolled in the proper courses, the right sequence, progress towards degree, and then giving them the personal development as well as the tools when needed for the support to help them be successful.
One of the great things, and I told Jenny that when we had her on, like it felt like the right time because it was spring break, and that's a quick turnaround transition for her staff. And I just thought about having you on today, like what an advantage the Jaquia Center is.
Huge advantage.
To recruiting, student athletes, everything, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously it's a great visual to the commitment that Oregon Athletics has in academics. And then when people do visit and they get to meet the people, that's what we say about a lot of things, and you meet the people who've dedicated their life to being a support system for student athletes, it's very powerful.
Yeah, shout out to Jenny and her staff. It's outstanding in the academic support. Continuing with Rob Mullens, Oregon Athletic Director. Spring football practice resumed today. The third spring football practice. Ducks were in full pads in Autzen Stadium today. Spring game's going to be here before we know it.
It is going to be here before we know it. And yeah, these are much like you were talking about basketball. You insert a lot of new elements, and the preparation for the 2025 season is really embedded in these. We get 15 practices. 15. I think of these 15 practices, and then you get to the spring game and a chance to celebrate with our fans again, and food for Lane County and all that comes with honoring the military and the things that have become synonymous with Oregon spring game.
Yeah, it's outstanding in terms of a community event. I always put it that way, like this.
Yes.
Every football game, every athletic event, but it seems like really every football game, it's a community event.
Yeah, obviously it's it's a chance to see the team in its new form, but as you said, and that's the perfect phrase, it has become a community event, a chance to rally at Autzen.
Yeah.
For some fun, weather permitting. We've been 40,000. Yeah. We have a home baseball, a pretty important home baseball series that weekend. So
not to look too far ahead.
Exactly. I expect we'll have some sellouts at PK.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, Rob. And it's always like the perfect weather day.
Yes.
You talk about perfect weather. Friday, by the way, is supposed to be 66 and sunny at first pitch for Jane Sanders Stadium for Oregon at Jane Sanders Stadium for Oregon softball, and at PK Park for Oregon baseball this weekend.
No, I mean weather looks great, so this is a chance to come out and enjoy a little spring weather. And we have some, beach volleyball senior day.
Yeah.
Friday at their new home that they've been playing and practicing at. So would encourage everybody to get out to beach volleyball. I think Jody said that starts at 1:30 with the ceremony. Playing Bushnell, so that should be a pretty fun event. Then you can pivot from there, right? You can head to PK Park for a big series with Michigan, or to Jane Sanders Stadium, big series with Michigan.
Yeah, how about
that? It's a great weekend, but it can all start midday Friday, beach volleyball, senior day, celebrate the seniors, and then get some baseball and softball.
And your bridge from beach volleyball, if you decide to stay on that side of the river, don't forget you got men's tennis against Wisconsin at 3 o'clock. Nils Schielander would love nothing more than a rowdy crowd.
Yes.
Might be outdoors, too. Might be on the outdoors courts.
It might be. If the wind holds up and the weather forecast gets to the temperature, you could do a little softball, tennis. It'd be great.
Yeah.
That would be fantastic.
That's what
huge opportunity for us this weekend to show the Big Ten what it's like to come compete in Eugene at the University of Oregon, because the weather's going to cooperate. We've got some great opponents, and these are big games for everybody. As you mentioned, senior day for beach volleyball, but softball and baseball are going to play teams that they're very close with in the league standings. And so, huge opportunity.
Yeah, to take that even one step further, I mean, we are right now here. This is kind of the start to me of the meat and potatoes of the conference season, if you will. Like, you start to see separation in the standings, usually around the first couple weeks of April in the Diamond Sports. And this is it. Michigan the opponent for both. And I will put Oregon's spring weather against anywhere in the world. And now you get to see it on the Diamond.
No, you do. And so it'd be fun to pack Jane Sanders Stadium, to pack PK Park, and then on Sunday to pack Pape Field for women's lacrosse.
Yeah, talk about women's lacrosse. I mean, that sport, this is a little bit of an imperfect science, but looking at the national rankings of programs, that sport had a significant jump. Everyone in the Big Ten's ranked in the top 15.
Yes, significant jump, and Jess is building the right foundation, doing it the right way, and the energy from that coaching staff and that team is fun to be around.
The outdoor track and field season does get rolling, by the way, after a couple indoor titles, which is always fun.
Nice trophies.
How about that?
Yeah, pretty fun.
The trophy tour, by the way, I don't know that people realize how much those trophies actually tour around to different events. So just keep your eyes peeled. Every now and then it gets hoisted at the middle of an inning or something like that.
Yeah.
So just keep your eyes peeled.
Why not? I know Brooks got some fun things planned for first pitches.
See, this is what we're talking about.
I'm getting a little sneak peek. Yeah, we got a lot of fun going on this weekend.
That's right. This is when you start to really highlight all the different things. But outdoor track and field, I mean, at Hayward Field again here coming up the next few weeks, and then again you talk about competing for, well, it helps to host some championships. That's coming up at Hayward Field.
No, it is. And, these softball, baseball weekends contribute to that too, because as fans know, the top 16 in both of those sports get a chance to host. And so, these weekends add up. As you said, this is when the separation starts. These weekends start to determine who's going to be in that mix.
Yeah.
Big advantage if you're hosting regionals and super regionals in both of those sports.
Absolutely huge. I touched on tennis. Women's tennis is on the road at Washington, so just keep an eye on that one, Ducks and Dogs. I want to ask you a little bit about both men's and women's golf teams, because I think the consistency of Casey Martin I always praise on the show.
100%.
Seems like every year, well, we'll see what happens. Oh, they're in a regional again. And then women's golf just continues to finish against great competition in either first or second in every tournament they play in.
Yeah, outstanding leadership in both programs. Obviously, Casey, national championship coach, has done a phenomenal job in attracting talent, and he does a great job of building the program.
Yeah.
So much like Dana, they're always peaking at the right time. And then obviously women's golf has had it rolling, so hopefully we can keep that going.
Acrobatics and tumbling, by the way,
big
against Baylor on Saturday. 3 o'clock. You talk about a growing sport.
Yes.
Still seeing it here, and Oregon's on the forefront.
No. They're on the road this weekend, right? So that'll be a tough road contest. But they've climbed up to number 2 in the rankings. So here's a chance to go on the road and test it.
It's the Clash of Titans, as I've been calling it, talking with Taylor Susnara. I mean, these are the 2 programs in acrobatics and tumbling that have led the way.
They have led the way in every respect, from the creation of the sport to the investment in the sport and then to the competition.
He's Rob Mullens, Oregon Athletic Director. We covered a lot. Anything else on your mind?
Just please fill up those venues. Again, beach volleyball Friday, softball, baseball all weekend, men's tennis, and then lacrosse on Sunday. So going to have a great weekend. This is our opportunity with the weather to show the Big Ten that the University of Oregon spring sports have arrived.
And then there's nothing else going on in college athletics, and we won't have anything to cover next time Rob comes on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Rob Mullens, Oregon Athletic Director. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Always a good time when we get to catch up with the Oregon AD. That's Rob Mullens chatting with us here in the Country Financial Studio. When we come back, Bryce Beter met with the media today, focusing just on football. How about that? Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union, continues next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear Truckin' Awesome, Toyota Tundra's got heart-pounding horsepower. Tacoma is one rugged ride, and the 4Runner is tough as nails. Truck yeah. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear Truckin' Awesome, Toyota Tundra's got heart-pounding horsepower. Tacoma is one rugged ride, and the 4Runner is tough as nails. Truck yeah. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Back to the Country Financial Studios in 60 seconds. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
You say you'd never give in to a meltdown and never fill your feed with kid photos. You say you'd never put a pacifier in your mouth to clean it and never let them run wild through the grocery store. So when you say you'd never let them get into a car without you there, no, it can happen. 1 in 4 hot car deaths happen when a kid gets into an unlocked car and can't get out. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council. The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
We'll see a lot of standouts on both diamonds for Oregon Athletics this weekend, and one who certainly was great at PK Park over the last couple years, Bryce Beter, but now a little bit of a different formula for him this spring. Not focusing on baseball, 100% on football. Bryce Beter electing to come back with that extra year of eligibility, and man, what a huge boost that is for Oregon football. Bryce Beter meeting with the media today after practice.
Bryce, can you just get into some of the details on the decision-making to come back and why you chose to play another season?
Yeah, I love my Ducks. I love my hometown. And, you know, if I had another year eligibility and didn't use it, I feel like I'd regret it down the road. And nowadays in college football, it's, you know, oftentimes beneficial to do that. So that's why I did it.
Right here, James.
Just how different is this spring for you where you're not splitting it on the baseball field, and how much, I don't know, batting practice are you taking on your own just for the Astros' sake, or
Yeah.
what are you doing, if anything at all, in baseball?
Yeah, it's definitely 100% football focused right now and just developing myself as a football player. You know, I'd be lying if I said I haven't been hitting a little bit. Watching the team play and not being a part of it, you know, I'm still getting in the cages because I miss it. But yeah, solely football focused right now.
In the middle, Brett.
Just wondering, how much does your decision to come back kind of, you know, incline you to potentially try to go for the NFL draft maybe next year, or maybe try to go to the MLB if you thought about trying to do both? And just how much does just focusing on football, not worrying about baseball, kind of help you into this upcoming season?
Yeah, you know, I'm just trying to live in the moment, and, you know, whatever happens in the future happens in the future. But I think certainly developing for another year as just a football player will help me in that side this fall. Just being the best version of myself on the football field. But, you know, like I said, with that being said, I'm still hitting a little bit just for the love of the game. So looking forward to it.
Right here on the right, Zach.
You're one of the old heads on the defense now. Do you feel more leadership placed on your shoulders because of that, because you're such a veteran on this young team?
Yeah, certainly. Like you said, there's a lot of young guys, not as many old ones compared to last year. I don't think it's like a weight. I try to just be myself, same leader I was last year as I'll be this year. Maybe I'll try to be a little more vocal, but, you know, I like to lead by example, and I think that's, you know, what I'll do this year.
Right here on the left, Eric.
What has just focusing on football for spring allowed you to focus on, or I guess, what has that freed you up to do things differently in terms of your preparation for football? And I know Dan was mentioning maybe focusing on adding weight. Is that something that you're in the progress of doing, and maybe what's the update with that?
Yeah, this off season, it was like my first fall that I haven't, or not fall, sorry, winter that I haven't been doing baseball, where usually I drop about 10 pounds for baseball season. I put on about 10 pounds, so I'm sitting around 230 right now, which I think is great. You know, if I'm able to move and do everything I can at 230, that, you know, it'll just be beneficial to me. So, you know, just developing as a football player, whether it's in the weight room and, you know, mentally in the film room, I have more time to spend watching film, which is great. So.
Back right, Aaron.
Just going back to just the young guys on the defense that are going to get more opportunities now this spring to earn starting roles. Just if there's anyone that you've seen kind of step up, whether it's a young freshman or someone that we maybe haven't seen that you really stand out so far in spring practice, who would it be, and what have they been able to do for the team in that role?
Yeah, you know, it's a little early. Today was the first day of pads, so, you know, it's really hard to tell. But, you know, Dylan Thieneman, just the way, not even football, the way he goes about his work, whether it's getting treatment, watching film, he's incredible. Iffy, one of our corners, I know he was here last year, but he's been a freak, and I've always, you know, liked the way he brings it every single day at practice. And I've been impressed with Bear Alexander, too. He's pretty, you know, he's attacked it, and the way he gets off the line of scrimmage is impressive. You know, amongst other guys, like I said, it's still early, and I'm sure some more dudes will definitely stand out here coming forward.
On the right, Chris?
With the success you had last year, was there a point in the season where your mindset sort of changed in regards to coming back this year versus heading to spring training?
Yeah, I don't know. It was kind of just a culmination of different feelings that I had. But like I said, once we, lost that Rose Bowl game, and I got the extra year, it's pretty much a no-brainer for me. If we would have won the Natty, it would have been probably a different conversation we're having right now. But I'm excited for what's to come, and I'm pretty sure I made the right decision.
Right next to him, Alec.
Yeah, I think last year at Media Day, you talked about how every year you've been here, you've been kind of down on the depth chart and had to prove yourself to earn your playing time, and that chip on your shoulders kind of carried you throughout your career. After the year you had last year, you're probably not down on the depth chart heading into this season. How do you kind of keep that chip on your shoulder entering this season?
Yeah, a couple things. I mean, I always, whether you may see it or not, there's definitely some young guys and some transfers in this program that are looking to take my spot, and I hope they do everything in their power to do it because it's going to make me better. With that being said, it's like I'm also fighting with other older heads, older linebackers around the country to be the best linebacker in the nation. That's the way I see it. I wasn't perfect last year. Our room wasn't perfect, so just striving to become better and, pushing everyone. And, I've tried to find little nuggets throughout my day, whether it's, someone talking crap to me or, just anything I can find to fuel myself and just have that walk-on mentality.
Right, Zach?
You mentioned it already, but what's it like playing with Dylan? I mean, we've heard a lot of great things about him. What have you learned from him so far? Are there other players you've played with before that kind of have that same mentality, the professionalism that we've heard about?
Yeah, I mean, he's, like you said, professionalism is a perfect way to put it. And whether it's, like this morning I was in the treatment room at, 5:50, and it's like he was already in the tubs, shirt off, warming up. I'm like, dude, did you go practice already? He's, about it on and off the field. No, he's one of a kind for what I've seen so far. So I'm excited to see what he can do in pads and what he can do to help our team.
Right left, James.
What does being the green dot mean to you when Jeff obviously handled that lion's share of that last season? What does taking over does that mean to you this year?
Yeah, it's even though Jeff was a green dot last year, I feel like I still did my best to communicate with everyone and know my assignment. So I feel like nothing really changes for me this year other than, I guess having the green dot. So, I think it's just another opportunity to, help the team win.
Last question, Brett, back middle.
Bryce, you've obviously had quite a few of these, spring practices getting ready for the spring game. I'm just wondering, what does spring football mean to you personally, obviously, in your final season, obviously, now on the field?
I'm excited just to play in Autzen now with the new remodel. Get to practice in Autzen every day, and I love it. I think it's way better than practicing on the practice field. It just gives a real life vibe, and I'm just blessed to play another season for the Ducks.
Can't help but root for the guy, Bryce Beter. He has been tuned into watching the baseball program. I mean, this guy just has so much pride being a Duck. It's been fun to watch his growth, that chip on his shoulder, and now seeing him focusing on just football. Oh, man, I can only imagine what the spring, the summer, the fall, when you're focusing so much more on football, because doing two sports, that's hard for so many reasons. Looking forward to seeing Bryce Beter back in pads and helmet and full uniform for Oregon football. When we come back, the schedule for the week, we're getting ready for a couple matchups on the diamond on the road tomorrow here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Duck Insider continues from the Country Financial Studios in 1 minute on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. But I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. So when it comes to driving, please, don't be a multitasker.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
All right, son. Time to put out this campfire.
Dad, we learned about this in school.
Oh, did you now? Okay. What's first?
Smokey Bear said to.
First drown it with a bucket of water, then stir it with a shovel.
Wow, you sound just like him.
Then he said.
If it's still warm, then do it again.
Where can I learn all this?
It's all on SmokeyBear.com with other wildfire prevention tips, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Oregon football continuing spring practices, and the Diamond Sports are really into the thick of conference play. But before returning to conference play in what's supposed to be beautiful weather in Eugene this weekend, Michigan baseball and Michigan softball both in town for the Duck Diamond Sports this weekend. But Oregon baseball first looks for a bounce back against Portland at Portland, a 5 o'clock start on Wednesday tomorrow. I'll have the call 4:45 pregame show from Joe Etzel Field. Hope to see a lot of Portland Duck fans come out to UP. You know, that'll be fun to see everybody up there. 4:45, the pregame show gets underway. And then Oregon softball, not looking for a bounce back from anything recent, but one of the very few losses for Oregon softball this season to Oregon State. Beavers got them. 6 o'clock tomorrow in Corvallis. Oregon softball looks for a bounce back. It's on ESPN Plus, and Saul Galvan and the KWVA crew will have the hometown call thanks to the student radio station here at the University of Oregon. 6 o'clock the start in Corvallis for Oregon State on the softball diamond. Oregon baseball against Portland tomorrow, 5 o'clock start up on the campus of UP. No Oregon athletic events on Thursday before a very busy weekend. Track and field is actually split over the weekend on the road, and men's tennis at home, women's tennis on the road in Seattle. Both Diamond Sports at home. Supposed to be beautiful, sunny weather. Both Diamond Sports at home this weekend taking on Michigan. Acrobatics and tumbling, 3 o'clock start on Saturday, and Oregon lacrosse, a noon start also against Michigan on Sunday. Oregon acrobatics tumbling, by the way, Taylor Susnara, talking with her this week. Oregon head coach, clash of titans between Oregon and Baylor and acrobatics and tumbling. See you tomorrow on the show.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and I dedicate a lot of my time going fast. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association